Welcome to Trading Lounge and the Commodities Report, and starting with Bitcoin, we'll have a look at ETH and Solana, and then we'll move on to the dollar bonds and yield and gold and base metals and energy. So with Bitcoin here, I think it's bringing in one of the better opportunities within the market. We are actually looking at this as an impulse wave for wave 1 and then back for wave 2. How far wave 2 pulls back is a little bit of an unknown at this point, but I would expect it will probably sort of gravitate and stick to the 65 here, which in terms of the trading levels is a medium level, and it's really been the balance point within all of this. So once this wave 2 is finished here, this should move along quite nicely into wave 3. So we'll have, let me just put this into play here. We'll expect the 88 is the fourth strongest number in the market according to me and we should see some sort of little dance across here in some sort of wave 4, pulling back 38.2% roughly, and then up for wave 5 to the psychological finishing line number 1, which is the strongest number in the market. And we could label this a little bit differently as well. There's a good case for looking at this as wave 1 here and 2 here as well, but we don't need to go there just yet on all of that. So the long trade opportunity is really back over here for this here. So we will take a bit of a look at this particular structure moving up, and any of the tokens that have moved up in roughly the same manner will have basically the same count, which we will see in Bitcoin, ETH and Solana at this point. So let me just get this into perspective here. So we've got that wave 4 here, and we're looking at this wave 1 up here. Now this wave 2 here, we should really give it a bit of, a bit of gravity. Let me start again. Let's just clear this up here, and let's just give this some movement here. I think it'll be something like this here, and basically to this wave 1 here, as you know, we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 to make wave 1, and then an ABC pattern, and this is where we want to be looking to enter over here. And yeah, between wave 2 and wave 3 here, we have 5 waves of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. So everything's going, according to plan. This wave 4 here can pull back to the wave 4 of one lesser degree, or pull back 38.2% of the wave 2 to wave 3 here. But the 65, any large number can skew a wave count around a little bit, so we need to be a little bit mindful of that. I was thinking we got some sort of ABC pattern here for this, and then this here would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 1 here and 2 here, and wave 3 will get a bit sort of skewed in amongst all of this here, and we'll have wave 4 and wave 5. So it can pull back down into this space here. It'll get a little bit messy, but I'm just not that interested in it at the moment. It doesn't really sort of concern me. If I see a trade opportunity, I'll point it out to go into wave 5 here, but we're already long in this market, and ETH and Solana, and when we get over to this point over here, we'll be looking at ADA, Doge, and maybe 1 or 2 others to capture this third wave to the upside. So that said, here's Ethereum, so picking up from wave 4 here, a little bit cleaner because we're on 20k ticks here of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 here. Wave 4s can get messy if you know Elliott a little bit, and then we'll look for wave 5 and wave 2, and this is where we need to be over here for that. So we'll drill into that a little more when the time comes. This is on 1,000 ticks, so we just looked at Ethereum on 20,000 ticks. So this one here is just a little bit more sort of detailed, but 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here. So we've been working this wave 4 for the last few days, and I haven't really looked at this, pulled it apart that much. I'm not that concerned with it either. Once again, we could look for a 38.2% retracement level, but I was thinking sort of the 168 could be kind of in play for this 170, 168, maybe even 165. I'm not sure. Doesn't matter. We'll be looking for some sort of movement up, and then some sort of A, B and C move here for wave 2. Don't worry about any future price I put out here and all of this in terms of time. I'm just drawing a mud map of Elliott, you know, through time and space there, just to give you a bit of an idea about that. But it could be smaller. We may not reach here. We may go above that. All that sort of, you know, all that sort of thing here. But basically, when we see this move back down here, it'll be rather obvious. It could be a bit of a fractal of this one here, you know, and then we'll pick it up from this point and moving in from this. I own all three of these ones we've just looked at. Yeah, so that's it really. So that's the crypto. Any of the crypto that have got this particular pattern, that you'll be able to fold them into this. And like I said, we are currently long in these three in the portfolio, and we'll be looking to add at this wave 2 here. We'll look to add some of the other smaller tokens within all of that. So we're coming over to the dollar bonds and yield. So let me just get this other charting program here, and I'll just start with the bonds. So the bonds here, we've got daily chart, we've got the A wave, ABC for the B wave, and we're looking for a C wave to move up here. It's sort of a bit shaky, I get it. You know, we've got this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. It's a bit shaky. Wave 2 here. We've got wave 1 up here, waiting for wave 2 to pull back. And yeah, so that wave 2 pulling back, it's pretty sort of simple really. And you know, in the yields, we're looking at this thing in reverse, and we're looking at the dollar on the inverse of this as well. So when we look at this here, I'm just looking at the daily chart. I won't go to the 2-hour chart or 1-hour chart, but basically we've got down for 1, back for 2, down for 1, back for 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5. So moving down lower. Now I must point out here that because this particular wave 1 here, it's fine the way that it is. You know, we can look at it, you know, like this here. We can do, you know, this type of pattern in here for that, for wave 1. But at the same time, if we include this here, we could also look at it as an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave, and it's sitting right on the 61.8%. So at the moment, we're looking at this going upwards in an ABC correction. In this case, I will just go to some sort of intraday chart here. So, you know, this is what the US dollar is doing at the moment, so we'll get a clearer picture on that. So we're going up for wave A here, we're looking at wave B, and then we'll go up for wave C here up to the, you know, 61.8% sort of space in here for all of this, yada 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 in here, so somewhere in there. And you know, this is kind of important to the commodities as well, because while the yields are going an A and a B and a C up here for wave 2, then gold will be doing the same in reverse, you know. So when we come to the dollar over here, this is it coming up here. So an A wave, a B and a C here. So we can just sort of move that in there a little bit. So yeah, there's a couple of ways to look at this, but we'll just look at this as a top being in place. We'll look for the B wave and then the C wave up here for this. So what we want to do is we want to take this little B wave, this little A, B and C here. We want to take this B wave low out over here to confirm that we're actually on the right track coming down here for the US dollar. Okay, because the other thing, as I mentioned to the yields as well, the point being here is that this particular pattern here is in 3 waves, so we can just go straight up from here. Now, this is not what the bonds are telling me, but it is what the Deutsche Bank fund can tell me as well. So if I look at this on the daily chart here. So we've got, and this could play, this is still the Dixie here, but you know, I think this changed actually, didn't it? I don't think I can use it. We dropped it. It did some sort of reset here, so I can't use. I don't know what that was at that point. I don't know what happened with that. I don't know if it's a because this low here was attached to this before. I haven't really resolved this. But we were counting this up as an impulse wave, so I'm still just going to do that. So with the US dollar fund here is that we're looking at this as 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here for the third. So going through a fourth wave here and then up for a fifth wave. So yeah, it's sort of bugging me. I should have caught up with that and find out why they dropped that like that. I haven't fixed it up, so apologies about that. But if I just go back and just say that as far as the bonds, because it's a big market, of course, the thing that's sort of pushing me to the upside with the bonds and the yields on the dollar to the downside. I know that the euro and the Aussie and that are shooting to the downside, but we expected that while the US dollar was pushing to the upside, you know. But you see this move here, this really cannot be counted in 5 waves here, right? So it's corrective in nature. So that means that at some point the bonds will take this top out over here, this top here. Now, does that mean that it will do it in this move, or does it mean that this could get more complicated in here as a B wave in here? Do you know what I mean? Can we look at this as an A and some sort of B and C here and get a bit more complicated? It's possible, but I just go back to the point that this move here is corrective, so we should be taking that top out. Is it this time that we do that? Well, we're keeping an eye on it and it's doing all the right things, so we just need to sort of stay with that, you know, stay on course with that until proven otherwise. Okay. But one of the main points here is that while this is the dollar, the Dixie here, while this is giving an ABC pattern to the upside here, that means that gold's going to be doing the mirror opposite here. So that's what we're looking at in GDX here to start with. So we're still going to look at this as wave 3 and 4 here. We could put this up as wave 5 here, but I think we'll just pop it as wave 1 for the time being, and then we'll be able to look at this here as some sort of A wave, B wave, and some sort of little C wave coming up here. Now, how far it goes up there, I don't know, but the 38 is the 4th strongest number. It's been consolidating here, and we can look at this moving down for wave C here. So this will be the mirror opposite of what the US dollar is doing, and then we can push up from that point. So let's take this over to US spot gold, and this will be the same as well. Here we talked about this yesterday as calling the low in here and looking for a move to the upside. So we'll just give it a little bit of time. Will it go all the way up to the 50-60%? Don't know. Doesn't really matter. We'll become interested in it over here after this little ABC comes into play. Yeah, so the 61.8% is down here. We'll expect 5 waves to come down in that wave C here, and then we'll look for buying opportunities once we first got the first little impulse wave to the upside here. So as always, we may get the impulse wave to here, we may even get it to here somewhere. Wherever it is, that first 5 waves here, wherever it is, we'll look for the ABC back again, and we'll go along on top of the B wave here, and then we'll start to build in. We'll get a little classic trading levels pattern here. It could play out. We're just looking for the first high here, something like this here. So we look for the first high here. We could drop it down to the second high here. We could drop it even down to the here. So we basically want the market to tell us it's strong by making a new high here. So yeah, so basically we'll build in over here for this. And the silver market has come down, obviously being a softer market here. We could just bring this in here a little bit. So let me just bring in a few more here. So basically we're looking here at a larger correction here, unfortunately. So an A wave here, an A, B, C for the B wave here, and we'll look for 5 waves to come down here. And this will be in line with, this will be like the B wave going up for the gold, and then the C wave coming down. So this is pretty much the path that it will sort of follow. So we'll look for 1, 2, 3, 4 we were talking about yesterday, and so on. So that's where that is. So unfortunately we just got to wait for this to show an impulse wave up at this point, you know, to build in on it, but we'll do nothing in the meantime. So moving over to base metals, this is a weekly chart for uranium, and as I mentioned before quite a few times, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here for 1 and 2. and then we've got here as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here for 1. So I'm looking for an ABC back for wave 2 here. This wave 4 to wave 5 here could also be a little 1 and 2 in here as well. Whatever happens, we're going to be looking to build longs over here as well. We have got long positions in through here, and we've been waiting for this to, click in over here. It's just not there yet, but we'll just keep sort of talking about it now and again. This is iron ore here, so with iron ore here, we could look at this here as the A wave or wave 1, and then a B wave or wave 2 here, but we've got 1 and 2 here, and we'll continue to move down. I could look at it as wave C here, or we could look at it as wave 3 moving down further, but there's this is, any direct plays in the iron ore space. The Rios of the world will be bearish, and they'll be still open for short trades at this point. And as I explained, China have been developing their own iron ores in West Africa, and high grade iron ore as well. But obviously countries like China have got themselves into a bit of a thing at the moment. They need the West to consume, and otherwise they need to get their own consumers, their own internal people buying their own stuff, but that takes a lot of money to do that, and it's a bit sort of tricky. So we can see the fundamental reasons and the technical reasons for this to move down lower. So that's where that is. Nickel as well. We've got wave 3 here and a wave 4 here as an A and a B and a C wave here. For this, the US have talking to Australia to open up new supply chains to supply America. That business is sort of done and dusted, and China have got control over over Indonesia's nickel there, and that's putting pressure on other nickel mines. BHP of closing their facility down. So we'll end up seeing this move down further. So the fundamentals and technicals for nickel are further to the downside. We come over to copper, and we could just put that in the same basket as well. So this B wave up here is 1 and 2, and then 3, 4, 5. Now that's a pretty sort of ambitious sort of move to the downside. It may not be the case. So what we'll do after this little 5 waves here is finished, and as with all cycles and things here, we've got a beginning, we've got the middle, and then we'll need the end here. Once this is completed, this 5-way structure here, we'll try to identify this move here as being corrective. Now, it may be, it could be, it may not be this 1 and 2 here. It might be this third. The third wave may just continue to extend down even further. But anyway, we'll see. But yeah, in the meantime, we can expect it down to 40. Here's the CFD product. This is high-grade US copper, so down into the 40 area here, and it probably won't bounce that much up here, but we'll just see how that goes. I just need to identify this move here as being corrective to validate further downside at that point, but no buying copper at this point. All of these are in short positions at the moment. And then we come over to crude oil, and we've been looking at it as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here. There's probably a case to put wave 2 over here. I'll investigate that a little bit further, just that this is such a nice little impulse wave up here, but we'll take a close look at that later. We were talking yesterday about this coming down further for wave 3 here, and then wave 4. Wave 4 may not go that high here. What we can do is we can look at this here as wave 2 here and 3 here, and look at this is why I just wanted to bring this. If I just remove that and put that into here, so to speak, and remove this one, so that's the 38.2%. Yeah, and the wave of the back of previous wave 4 here as well. So somewhere into this little space here for this, and then we can see this move down a bit lower here for this in its own wave 5. This should be extensions in wave 3, so wave 1 here and wave 5 could be roughly the same length. Take that with a pinch of salt. And then this wave 4 here should be bigger than this wave 4, so we'll just allow that to play out here. But as I mentioned before here, when we're talking about numbers, we've got number 8 here, and we always talk about group 1 above. If that became the support at this point, then we would have gone up from that point, but we didn't get a classic rest of the pattern here to finish it off. And then we can look at group 2 here. So when we talk about 8, we talk about group 2 below and group 1 above. That's the swing range for anything at this particular number here. Now, if this group 2 here, this 65, 72, and 80 become the retested resistance, then this move down here, this will be telling me that this number here is being rejected at that particular point. You know, because a lot of the time it can come down to the 65 number where it is now, the lower end of group 2, and then just go back up at that point. You know, we could put this here as an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave here. You know, it's possible. You know, we'll go back and we'll go, shit, why didn't we see that? You know, so an A and a B and a C wave here, and then we can look at this here as a C wave coming into play here. So once again, we need to identify this particular move here, and that would bring us in at, if I looked at that here, that's bringing us in at the 61.8% here. So as an A and a B and a C, you know, it's quite doable at that point. So if you're going to go short, we need to look at that. As I was saying yesterday, we need that group 2 here as the resistance, but we've got a nice little 5-wave structure in here. So we'll just try to identify this move here as being corrective. If I can identify this as being corrective, then we know that we're going to be coming further down at this point. But if that's impulsive to that point there, the 38.2%, if we get 5 waves to that point, then we could be bullish at that point. So, you know, so it's healthy to look at both sides of the market and not to, you know, not just to get our opinions get us into trouble. And yeah, so anyway, just sharing ideas. And now we need to look at the gas market. So I'm just going to go over to that. So let's just this is what's the name here, BlackRock here. So we're just looking at wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here. So if you're looking at wanting to buy an ETF, so this will go up here as wave 1, back for wave 2, 3, 4, and 5 up here. So this will be a nice trade if you're into ETFs on that. But the thing with ETFs too, by the way, you know, is that, you know, they're becoming all the sort of rage. And the thing is that you don't, you know, with any ETFs, you do not own the underlying asset. So if that company went bankrupt, then you lose everything. You may not lose everything. They may give it to you. Do you know what I mean? And give it back to you or whatever. But we've seen, you know, if you've been around a while, you've seen, you know, companies bite the dust. Because it kind of sort of, I kind of wonder really, you know, like, it's the same with anything. Once everybody's in, then who's left? Do you know, that kind of thing. So if everybody's, you know, I mean, I've even been approached to, you know, promote ETFs from companies, and I just say, I don't do that sort of thing, you know. So, but, you know, once everybody's in, it's like the, you know, it's like the 2008 crisis. Once everybody's in and there's nobody else to get in, you know, you know, people with no jobs have got 4 houses and all those sort of things, then, you know, weird things happen. So, and I think the ETFs are a bit of a ticking time bomb in a way. I just can't quite get my head around it, but I'll just point out that, you know, as good as they may sound, me personally, I would rather say, okay, BlackRock is managing this here. You know, they might be just buying Bitcoin directly from it, but if it's another ETF, you can just have a look at all the stocks that are in that ETF, and then you can just buy the stocks, and you don't have to pay the management fee and all these sorts of things, you know what I mean? But you can still just take the guidance of what they're putting into that ETF. Anyway, over to natural gas, so over here. So the move down from the top here on a 1 hour chart, we've got wave 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and a nice third wave down here and fourth and fifth, and we're talking about the low being in here for this particular move here. So we're looking at wave 4 that can pull back to the wave 4 1 lesser degree, or the what's the name here. So we're in that space here at the moment. It's quite possible that we could view this in a different way as well, but that would still bring this over to this one here, which would have this as the A wave, the B wave, and the C wave down here. So yeah, so just looking at it in a slightly different way here, but we should, I'm not sure about this, if this is the A, B and C here, or we got more for this. It can certainly move up a bit further into this space here before coming down. So in either case, we should be coming down here further. I just don't know if we go up a little bit first and then down. But we're probably in 5 waves down here. But we just need to be mindful of this possible wave C at this point, you know. And it doesn't really have to come down a long way here, because it'll be this number, the $2 mark here, will be a bit sticky, you know. So it can just be, I'm not sure if it pushes up here first, but basically it could just come down to here somewhere and then have a stick here while it does this wave 4 here, and then, you know, then come down at this point. And how far that comes down, I'm not sure at that point either, so we'll just have to see how that plays out. But that's sort of the pattern of it. So the only thing is that from this wave C low here, we could push up higher at that point. So that's that. Alrighty, I'll leave it all at that. Thanks for tuning in. Cheers.